He has denied signing a memorandum with Airbus brought into evidence against her, saying it's suspicious and sinister. The former board chair is being cross-examined for a third day now in a hearing to have her declared a delinquent director. OUTA and the SA Pilots Association say Myeni is responsible for plunging the national carrier into financial chaos. ENCA's Heidi Jokos is following that story and joins me live now from the Palace of Justice in Pretoria. So Heidi, let's start with the dramatic events around Dudu Myeni being served with with more papers by Paul O'Sullivan while sitting in court for this particular matter. It's a separate matter for this from the current one that's on the go. What's that all about?
Exactly, Tulas. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to actually go through all the court documents, but we do understand that a summons was issued here at the Palace of Justice for Dudu Myeni. It seems as though Paul O'Sullivan is suing Dudu Myeni, amongst others, including the MPA and other officials. It's not yet clear what the exact motive is behind that, but when we did try and speak to her lawyer, Daniel Mancha, he did indicate to us that he needs to consult with his client first before giving an official comment, but it appears as though she did not accept or sign that summons that was handed over to her. There was a bit of commotion at around 9:30 when the sheriff and legal representatives of Paul O'Sullivan walked into court to serve that summons to her, but it appears as though she did not accept the summons and she did not sign it. But we'll have to just wait to hear from Daniel Mancha himself as to the position of his clients, and when I get a chance I will also read through those court documents to establish exactly why Paul O'Sullivan is suing her. But he's saying that basically she's been ducking and diving and he's been trying to issue the summons for a very long time and hasn't been able to get a hold of her. And because this trial is here at the Palace of Justice, he instructed his legal team to issue the summons here.
All right, so Heidi, let's get in then on the testimony from today and the cross-examination of Dudu Myeni, the Airbus deal that has been talked about at length during this trial to try and have Dudu Myeni declared a delinquent director, again under the spotlight. And this time around, the question of whether or not Dudu Myeni actually met with the service provider. Witnesses have testified that she absolutely did, but she's denying that she went into meetings with Airbus.
Most definitely, Tulas, and this was evidence that was heard about 2 to 3 weeks ago when various former executives from SAA testified saying that Dudu Myeni as a chairperson was not supposed to be engaging with any kind of service provider, specifically on the Airbus deal, and they have provided evidence to say that she was meeting with service providers. This has been a question that's been posed to her time and time again, yesterday and on Friday, why she was meeting with service providers, why she was getting involved in procurement deals when she is the board chair of SAA. And again today this was brought to light where Dudu Myeni then replied to OUTA's legal team and said, you keep saying that I was meeting with these service providers, but it was not I who did that. It was actually the board and various executives who were meeting with service providers. There was evidence by the former CFO, Wolf Meyer, who indicated that he actually saw her walking into a meeting with Airbus, not understanding why nobody else was invited to that meeting, given the fact that as chair she was not supposed to be involved in procurement. She is denying this and saying she did not do that. Let's perhaps listen to her reply to that allegation today.
I've put it to you repeatedly that by meeting with Airbus and taking over the negotiations, you fell foul of the first and most fundamental principle of governance when it comes to non-executive boards. They do not descend into the arena. They do not negotiate deals, particularly complex ones with suppliers. Am I not correct about that?
My lady, the board met the supplier, so I hear the counsel says, you did this, you did that. It was the board.
So part of the evidence there, Heidi, is document, evidence, including letters and memoranda One of the memoranda is under the spotlight, and Dudu Myeni is suggesting that there's something suspicious and dubious about it. What are the details there?
Exactly, and Tulas, I actually have the document in my hand. ALTA and the Pilots Association gave us a copy. And this document is a memorandum where it's quite a lengthy one, where Dudu Myeni is saying how important it is to finalize the Airbus deal. But the big issue around this Airbus deal was the fact that Dudu Myeni felt as though an African leasing company should be brought on board to lease these aircraft to SAA. And, she's received a lot of backlash around why she wanted to bring in an African leasing company. But this is a memorandum where she is suggesting a specific service provider, saying that they are highly recommended for this transaction, they are independent and credible. And the reason why there's an issue with those words is the fact that she was the chairperson of SAA board, and ALTA is saying as the chairperson she should have never been involved in suggesting any kind of service provider for the Airbus deal, given the fact that that should have been done by the CEO, the CFO, and so forth. And she's saying that she did not write this memorandum that I have in my hand. She's saying that there's something suspicious and sinister about this. It's also important to emphasize the fact that ALTA and the Pilots Association had brought in this document before this without a signature. They then subpoenaed SAA to say that they need the signed document to prove that it was in fact Dudu Myeni, because she's denying that she wrote this. This is now the signed document, and she's still saying that there's something suspicious and sinister about this. Let's perhaps listen to her words from earlier.
That particular page, that's not how I sign my documents. I'm never a Dudu in any document like that, and I'm not a Mrs. Dudu in documents in my correspondence.
So you suggest this is
and I always put a date after my signature in a submission. So I'm then saying I'm making no allegation, my lady, but I am left quite suspicious.
Heidi Jokos, live for us from the High Court in Pretoria. Thank you so much for that update. It's intriguing what's been happening around that trial there, where there's an attempt to get Dudu Myeni, the former SAA board chair, to be declared a delinquent director. Look out for more of Heidi's reporting throughout the afternoon here on ENCA. Well,